Welcome to Prime Time Sunday night on KOFO's 6 o'clock high on a sultry, hot summer evening. A couple days after solstice here, but it's still light way past 9 p.m. here, even after that sunset at about 12 minutes until John Jacobson here with Sean Torres, our anchor leg of Prime Time Sunday night. The Jacobson Report here on 1220. 103.7 FM and streaming live on KOFO.com, and grab the podcast that Sean Torres throws up at the end of our show this evening on Sunday night. We have got our recurring co-star co-host Patrick J. Jap Jr., the Georgetown legend, with us this evening, and you are listening to us in Johnson, Douglas, Franklin, Miami, Anderson, Lynn counties, in Emporia, the capital of Topeka, Rock Chalk, Jayhawk country, in Lawrence, in Olathe, the suburbs of KC, and Ottawa, Wellsville, Baldwin City, Osage City, Princeton, Paola. You are listening to this great home and away voice of your Kansas City Royals, as well as your number one country giant on the east central plains of Kansas. And guys, get ready, because it is time. This is the wide world of Patrick J. Jap Jr. Coach, welcome back to the show.
Hey, good Sunday, everybody. How we doing?
We are doing great, Coach, and you are still the king of broadcasting for ESPN, doing women's college hoops, especially for the vaunted New Mexico State team, for which you are primus inter pares, as we say, as big-time development director there, still on that vaunted campus in our desert Southwest. Coach, you've also got a wonderful podcast. Tell our folks about it. Remind them of how to tune in, when, and where.
Sure, everybody. Tune in to Play by Play anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, iHeart, all over the place. My partner, Jerry Busson, and I cover college athletics, the NBA, with the finals being this evening, and college football on its way up the ladder. So tune in, Play-by-Play, where you get your podcasts.
Coach, I'm glad you brought up college football, because we're going to touch on that a little bit here later on. But, Coach, everybody's talking, including at Grub and Chug today, where the lovely and gracious Deborah and I had lunch. Everybody's talking about this Game 7. A lot of people next door neighbors to OKC. Coach, were you surprised this going to 7? Were you surprised at how Game 6 came out? And do you think, with that being at home, you are our basketball guru, will OKC do it tonight, or a different result? Opine and wax eloquently for us, Coach.
Yes. Well, I'm not surprised at all that this went 7. In the long run, Oklahoma City's a very young team. Indiana has more depth and is a more experienced team, and Rick Carlisle has been in numerous NBA finals and a few Game 7s himself. So not surprised that Indiana forced Game 7. Thought that the Thunder would compete a little bit better in Game 6 than Indiana, but at a certain point you shut it down and you get ready for another day, and that's what they did. So when you look at this game, Oklahoma City is 10-2 at home in the postseason. Of course, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is averaging 31 points a game at home. Chet Holmgren, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks a game at home. They need their bench players to come through. Caruso, Dort, Hartenstein, Wiggins. And they are usually on and off. They shoot 47% from the field at home, and shoot 25 free throws per game at home. what's interesting is Indiana shoots better than that on the road in the playoffs at 49%, but they only get 22 free throws a game. And as we well know, the officiating in the playoffs, particularly in Game 7, will be crucial. I think Indiana's going to have to hit more threes, and they're going to have to continue their defensive strategy where they're ganging up on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, sending 2 or 3 people at him when he gets into the lane, which is what they did on Thursday evening. I think it's going to go down to the wire, John. I think OKC is still on the doorstep. They're too young. I'm taking the Pacers tonight.
There you have it, Coach, on the Pacers tonight. Coach, what have you thought about the announcing teams on this series here? What's your evaluation of them? You're a broadcaster announcer.
I enjoy the lead man. I don't know how I'm losing his name right now. Mike. I should know Mike's name.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. I'm in the same boat you are. It's a function of age, Coach. Don't worry about it.
Well, he used to be the sports guy on Imus in the morning way back in the day. It'll come to me. I do like Doris Burke. My understanding, again, just reading the internet, could be totally wrong. This could be her last broadcast for ESPN with the NBA. I'm anxious to see how she signs off this evening.
Yeah.
I think in the pantheon of great NBA playoff announcers, I don't put them up there.
Right.
I don't put them up there.
Yep. I agree with you, Coach. Hey, Coach, there's this sidebar issue. Breaking news. The Suns have agreed to trade Kevin Durant to the Rockets for Jaylen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 pick in this year's draft, and 5 second-round picks. Sources tell ESPN. That's a surprise. What say you, Coach?
Yeah, I think that Matt Taibbi, who is the owner of the Phoenix Suns, I think he made a big mistake bringing in Bradley Beal and Durant to go with the three superstar version of an NBA team. It did not work, and I think he has lucked out offloading the salary of a major player in Durant, who didn't want to be there anymore anyway. Jaylen Green is a rising star. Dylan Brooks is a tough loss for Houston. He's a great player off the bench, instant offense, very physical player. And then when you look at what's the number 10 pick in this year's draft, we don't know who that will be, but it sets up the Suns for a good rebuild now. So they offload a big salary, and obviously Houston is looking to go to the finals next year with a lot of young talent and Kevin Durant.
Here with Coach Patrick J. Jap Jr., we are brought to you by the great people at Midwest Renewable Energy, LLC, Jim and Cindy Jandrin, Energy for a Strong America, renewable fuels, ethanol from the East Central Plains of Nebraska. It's lean, it's clean, and it's green. Building up that energy independence away from having to rely on any oil coming out of the Straits of Hormuz. We are immune to that, ladies and gentlemen. So if the Iranians shut down the Straits, their buddy China's going to suffer, but not the U.S., because we are largely now energy independent, thanks in part to our ethanol, renewable fuels. Also, it creates revenue vectors for our ag families, as well as keeps the supply of our food chain outside of the corporate concentrationists and in the hands still of thousands of middle-class Midwestern farm families. Also, our sponsor, Life Runners. Go to liferunners.org and get your T-shirt, Run and Walk for Life, helping to build a culture of life, helping expectant mothers and their babies on the way, both before and after birth, with all of the medical and temporal and clothing and food needs. Again, liferunners.org. Again, a tip of the hat to Tim and Cindy Jandrin. Back to you, Coach. Let's continue with our NBA stuff. Veteran NBA official Scott Foster was not selected as one of the 3 referees for Game 7 of the NBA Finals between the Oklahoma City Thunder and Indiana Pacers tonight. The referees were selected to officiate the first Finals Game 7 since 2016, and just the 9th since the merger between the NBA and the ABA of 1976, were Capers, Tiven, and Wright, with James Williams serving as an alternate. There's been some scrutiny of Foster. Coach, why, and is it justified?
Well, there are other NBA players who go way back with Scott Foster and have a bone to pick with him. But I believe Rick Carlisle knows he's a heck of an official. Rick Carlisle gave him his props a few games ago, and some felt Carlisle was greasing the skids to have a little favoritism in Game 7 with Scotty. But no, Foster will not do that game. By the way, John, Mike Breen, Doris Burke, and Richard Jefferson are those announcers. I'm not a fan of Jefferson. I am a fan of Breen and Burke, so I had to just go back to that.
Brock Chapman joins us. Hey, Brock, it's so great to have you with us, our Ottawa Braves connection. And, you know, Brock, it's really quite amazing. Yesterday was one of the literally hottest days of the year, and I saw you out there yesterday in all of the heat, in all of the, well, it was 100-degree stuff, and it was really amazing. But I got to tell you, you were out there and the kids were out there. Tell about the flag football update from Ottawa Braves Stadium yesterday.
Yeah, so hi, my name is Brock again. I was out there after I did my morning show here at KOFO, the sports and the weather and stuff like that, and just all around news for sports. I'm the GA for athletics, and Janet, our athletic director, Janet Eden-Smith, she asked me to come just, make sure that the event was run smoothly. It was actually through the YMCA of KC, of central Kansas.
Yeah, the big Kansas City YMCA.
Yeah, there's one. They're all over the place in Kansas and the Midwest and stuff like that. But I want to say his name was Kaysen, the main guy, the main manager that runs it. And I mean, we had 3 full fields, and I don't think we had to stop it. I don't think we didn't have a game playing at all time throughout the day yesterday. They even started on Friday, and I was there yesterday from about, I want to say 9:30 to almost 3 o'clock. It was hot, and I probably sweated, I feel like my whole body away. But
and these are high school travel teams, essentially,
yes,
Brock. And it had to have been 120 on that artificial turf.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how people were not passing out. I even asked Janet and the trainers, I was like, hey, what would we do? Because we have this thing called the weather. It's I don't know what it's called, but it's called the weather bulb. And basically it tells us the temperature that we can be on the field. And we have our parameters for NAI and just being college athletes. And so since it wasn't part of the college, athletic program, we were helping them out. But they kind of just said, hey, if it gets too hot, if we start seeing people being really fatigued and just not doing really well and just having that fear of heat exhaustion, as I actually just talked about yesterday on the news, they were going to cancel it. But obviously they played through, and actually I witnessed one of the travel flag football girls. She won a MVP of the tournaments. I can't remember her name. You could ask if you want to find out, you can go on our website and it'll probably be posted. But she won a $25,000 scholarship. So.
Wow. And, of course, our 5-time national champions, D1, D2, D3, NAIA, they are the Ottawa Braves women. They hosted, and the kids from high school are very excited to meet our national champion, some of our players and our coaches. And, Brock, to top that off, the men have been out there practicing for the top high school football players of the state for the Shrine Bowl. They've been out at 10 at night practicing on your field.
Yeah, it's been pretty wild. I drive my bike down, drive down there and see John, down there on campus, and then, I see the lights on and we're trying to figure it out. So I ask, and I realize it's the Shrine Bowl, and I think they just ended practices. I'm not too sure, but I know that they're not they're not on our campus anymore. From what Janet said, the AD at Ottawa, they're actually, we were renting them. I'm pretty sure we were renting one of our dorms called Martin Hall out to them. That's where they were staying. So they were doing 3-day practice, 3 days. I want to say roughly a week long worth of practices for 3 days, like 3 practices a day for almost a week long plus. And so yeah, it was. I don't know how you can be out there on the turf, especially if you think about it. If it's 90 degrees and just walking around, it's 100. It's 10 to 15 plus degrees on the field while you're practicing, especially with pads on and you're running around. It's just hot out. It's actually crazy. So,
Coach, when you were doing women's basketball, especially at Georgetown in the summers, were you guys practicing at all in the summers? Did the kids have that time off? How did that work for you? Because we're going to segue here into women's basketball. It was literally the talk of Grub and Chug restaurant today when Deb and I were over there. Women's basketball's hit hard when they're talking about Caitlyn Clark's new teammate enforcer at the dining table when they're delivering my pancakes. Coach, what was your summers like? And then we'll soon head into WNBA chat.
Well, the hottest time of the year for us anywhere, whether it's Georgetown, New Mexico State, and was when we ran summer camp in the summer. And in my early years at Georgetown, the gym was not air conditioned.
Oh, man, I remember
we
those
had
days.
4 huge fans in 4 corners of the gym, and that's what we had to deal with.
Wow.
And probably my last 7 or 8 years at Georgetown, it was air conditioned.
Wow.
There were times, John, when we would practice in September and October when we would have some very hot days. And again, we went from fans to air conditioning. We didn't always have an elite facility, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's crazy. I couldn't imagine the days with all the policies and rules and regulations, like how we would be able to not have a single air conditioning unit or fan in the building. I mean, again, I'm a wrestler, so I know, like, with wrestling, we turn the fans off and we sweat, and it's 75 or plus degrees up in that room. I mean, cutting weight and in the heat, not drinking or eating water, or not drinking water or eating any kind of food really that stains you. I mean, you're going on a calorie deficit, but I don't know. I guess they're just built different back then. These days, I feel like we have a lot more, regulations on us. But I was just surprised that we did not, stop the flag football tournament yesterday, midway. I mean, we have our what's called our Maybe Center next to our BAPC, our weight room, open, and then, but yeah, I mean, even going back to the flag football thing with our 5-time national champions. Most of those girls on our team actually coach the youth travel ball team, so it was pretty cool. And then it's also scouting for the Midwest, and yeah, I mean if you were there, you'd love the atmosphere. It helped. It was just fun for me. I did it because they needed my help, and I was one of the ones there that does the game day stuff.
It's just great to see this activity. I love seeing the activity on campus. And the other thing that there's some things in life that amaze me. So the lovely and gracious Deborah has never been an Iowa Hawkeye fan and didn't watch quite as many women's hoops games as I have, but she is addicted now. As we tape this show, she didn't want to hang out for the taping with me. She wanted to rush home and watch the Indiana Fever and Caitlyn Clark. Coach, this phenomenon has legs, literally and figuratively, and Caitlyn's got an enforcer now. Do you think the Fever can still make a run toward the playoffs? She is the Jackie Robinson in her own way of this league that seems to want to, slay the goose that lays the golden eggs. What's going on here, Coach?
Yeah, I think the Fever will make the playoffs. They're only going to get better. Caitlyn does have an enforcer. Sophie Cunningham is doing a tremendous job.
And she has a great personal story, by the way. Just sidebar, Sophie Cunningham has a great story about her growing up. But go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, she knows jiu-jitsu or something. She's she's trained in some kind of martial art as well. So good for Caitlyn to have that bodyguard. But they play the Las Vegas Aces today, the Indiana Fever, and Caitlyn Clark too. And then Becky Hammond, the coach of the Aces, who's an outstanding coach, has basically made the statement that to the referees and to the league, there's too much bumping, grabbing, and fouling. The refs need to do a better job. And she stood up for Clark. She, on the one hand, said, look, we have to play her physically. If we just let her go, she'll kill us. But on the other hand, she's totally against the cheap shots that have been piling up on Clark and other players in the league. So the Fever are 6-6 today. The Aces are 5-7. So it is a big game in the standings early on.
Quick question: don't the Aces have one of Caitlyn Clark's former teammates, Katie? I don't know if her name's Katie, but I can't remember.
Martin, yeah, Katie Martin, yeah.
So I feel like this game's not going to be as crazy because team rivalry. You got your old teammate on the other side, and so I feel like this game will go a little bit better. It's just I like the Fever and I like Caitlyn Clark. I didn't really watch women's basketball until I saw the Iowa Hawkeyes, Caitlyn Clark, just going crazy, hitting half-court shots like it's, nothing to her. And so I just like her passion, enthusiasm, and just like her drive to, do better and just, make the sport, watchable and just make the sport just what it's supposed to be, to encourage women to get involved in all type of sports no matter what. And yeah, there's going to be a bunch of I know that there's going to be a bunch of pushing and shoving, because that's just what competitors do. My sister, she's a competitor. She'll fight her way through a situation, but at the end of the day, you're doing it for the greater good of the sport. And so I feel like that's why people are hating on her. But hey, she's a beast, and her actions definitely speak louder than her words. So.
Brock Chapman, our SID extraordinaire from Ottawa and in grad school. Guys, it is getting into the heart of baseball season. And guys, we've got to just say right now how important it is to really take a look at how our Royals are doing at this point in time.
This is the last time this year, so let me hear you. Good and loud. All right, Gary. All 1. All 2. All 3. Hey, we have to.
Now, Denny Matthews is quite a great announcer, Brock Chapman. Denny's been doing it for close to 70 years, but he can't sing like Harry Carey, can he?
I would very much agree with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Coach, handicap our Royals for us, because we don't want this to be the last time this season. We want some spirited, take me out the ball game, 7-inning stretches well in the playoffs for our Royals. They have a chance, Coach.
There's a long way to go. There's a long way to go, guys. Hey, by the way, Kate Martin is with the Golden State Valkyries now.
Oh, she is. That's right. She did.
Longer.
That's right. She was with the Aces. That's right.
What happened with that? Right. Why did she move to a different team? I haven't been up to date.
She got cut and then picked up by Golden State, which is a what do you call it? A brand new team in the league.
Expansion team there. Yeah.
Right.
So guys, right now, we're underway. The College World Series in Omaha. LSU won the first game of that 3-game matchup against Coastal Carolina. All I want to do is warn our Omaha and Council Bluffs friends up north. The LSU fans will drink that town dry if they haven't already. Half of them are in their RVs that they've driven from Louisiana, and they park, Coach, not on the Omaha side of the Missouri River, but the Council Bluffs side, because Council Bluffs has the casinos, and those LSU fans party 24/7 when they're not drinking and yelling at the stadium in Omaha. They matriculate across that river and party hardy all night, Coach, in Council Bluffs, not Council Tucky.
Hey.
Council Bluffs, Iowa.
Well, nobody said a Cajun was dumb. They're smart people.
Yeah. Coach.
Cajuns.
Coach, do you think it's a good thing that a Cinderella team like Coastal Carolina can still make the finals of the NCAA Omaha-hosted College World Series? And is that what we're going to lose in men's college hoops? No more Cinderella stories with the portal.
Yeah, I think you're right on that, John. Yeah, Coastal Carolina has its own little niche, small school, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. They focus on baseball, and they've been successful. Last 3-4 years, they've gotten to Omaha twice in the last several years. So yeah, they're formidable, but I think LSU's going to win that one. As for our Royals, John, they're 4-6 in their last 10. They had a 4-game winning streak until Saturday evening.
They did.
So they were picking up the bats a little bit. In the last 7 days, their ERA is 3.06 runs per game, which is not bad.
Yeah.
The team batting average is 220, though.
Ugh.
So still not hitting up to par to catch up with Minnesota, Cleveland, nor Detroit. Could be a long slog to catch up in the Central this year.
Yeah, how did you feel about, I don't know if you followed on social media or on any social media platform, but how did you feel about those two videos where the Coastal Carolina coach was like making a statement known that how to pronounce their mascot and their I guess call sign. So I thought that was hilarious. He really made it known, and I laughed because I watched that thing over and over again. He was just straight faced. What about the press conference with the what was it, the 4 players and the coach, and one of the reporters is like, so how do you guys feel about LSU, and what is your favorite thing about LSU? And it went crickets. and one of the guys was like, nothing, absolutely nothing. We have nothing for them.
The Omaha crowd is interesting because they have a great affection long-term for LSU. LSU's been up there more than any team, and they do party, and they're gregarious with the Omaha folk in the old market, and yet Omaha loves a Cinderella story. And, Coach, talk about snake bit. Maybe there's a poetic justice. Dave Van Horn, who led the Huskers to their College World Series in the early part of this century, in the early 2000s, when George W. Bush threw that smoker across home plate after 9/11 to open things up. He leaves the Huskers, he goes to Arkansas, and his snake bit, he literally snatched defeat from the jaws of victory the other night. They had that game won, and they fumbled in the 9th inning. LSU won it, and Van Horn's about to retire. How ironic. He leaves Nebraska, and he snake bit at the Warner Park subsequently to that. Is that a little poetic justice, Coach? Is it like Dana Altman leaving Creighton and doing the Suey pig call at Arkansas, then being taken back by Creighton, but never quite reaching the meteoric heights, and then going on to Oregon, and maybe Creighton even does better with Greg McDermott? What say you, Coach?
Yeah, very similar. Van Horn, I did not know he's going to retire, but I do know, listening to college sports radio every day on ESPN, Channel 84 on Sirius XM, they're putting a lot of heat on the guy. Arkansas expects to win a College World Series baseball title. So I guess it's sayonara for Coach Van Horn.
I got another question for you in the sports world. So I know we're about 9 to 10 weeks out. I want to say closer to 9 weeks out from college football starting the first week, in September, roughly, or early, I guess, late August. But what is your take on this upcoming college football season?
Well, let's stay local with the Big 12, and let me give you some advanced predictions, particularly the NCAA experience chart, which means how much experience, how many lettermen you have coming back.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And how that equates to the performance that could come up here in 2025. In the Big 12, Kansas is 18th in the country in experience returning. 69% of their lettermen are back. 68% of their offensive yards are back, which is 14th in the country. And Kansas State has the 40th toughest schedule in the country. Kansas is way lower on that totem pole. Number 77 in the experience chart. 46% of their lettermen back. 46% of their yardage, but Kansas has a less tougher schedule. In the Big 12 alone, I'll just be very quick.
I'd agree with that, by the way.
ASU has the most experience back Texas Tech next, Baylor next, then Arizona. So the Big 12 has quite a few veteran back, which translates into a lot of yardage and experience. And so the numbers are in their favor for a big year in the Big 12.
Brock, you just said you agree with Coach.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, just being in statistics and like taking classes, obviously, statistics is statistics, but like just being a kind of a retired athlete myself now, just watching every sport, not just football and wrestling and softball, but watching all sports like, basketball, baseball, lacrosse, soccer, tennis, all those things, flag football, just watching all the stats and stuff. I mean, it's pretty crazy seeing. I mean, we just got done with the college, the softball World Series, college softball World Series, and I'm a big Sooner fan if nobody knew that. And unfortunately we lost, but just watching all these players, the transfer portal has, I would say the transfer portal has really messed everything up with all this NIL stuff and the big ruling that the judges made for the $2.8 billion, payback settlement that they just got done, clearing out and stuff like that. And now they're going to go all the way back to 2016 and like potentially start paying athletes from, their name, image, and likeness. But I just think like for the future of like sports, like especially for football, because football is the biggest sport for most campuses or for almost every college, they bring in the most recruits for the most part. I mean, and their football is one of the biggest things besides NFL and soccer. So yeah.
And you bring up the legal environment. We were talking earlier about the Arkansas Razorbacks, which brings the great court case that's going to come up there in Arkansas. If a man and woman get divorced in Arkansas, are they still brother and sister? So, Brock, there you have it. So that's why I, want to teach you guys business law when you're in the classroom there too. Coach, what are you going to look for the rest of the week?
Well, that's interesting. It's going to be, it's kind of a lull in the sports calendar, except for the NBA draft,
right.
which is on Wednesday. That is probably the biggest event, followed by NBA free agency. Then we get into the All-Star break of MLB, and then college football camp and practices. So there we go.
And, Coach, who's going to be top of the draft pick? Who's your top three that you're looking for in this NBA draft?
Well, it's Cooper Flagg to Dallas. It's Dylan Harper, big point guard from Rutgers, going to San Antonio. And then my 76ers have the third pick, and they're all over the map. There's a lot of speculation that they will trade down 2 or 3 picks if they can get a deal, because they do not like Ace Bailey, who is also a Rutgers player this past year, freshman at Rutgers. Very talented young man, but both him and Harper went on to produce a 13 and 15 season. They're on the same team with no NCAA bid, so people are questioning where they will be in the end. I myself, John, I would draft Con Knipple, 6'7" swing forward from Duke. He was the Robin to Cooper Flagg's Batman at Duke this past year. He's a very good player.
Good call, Coach. Hey, Brock and Sean are youngsters, but Coach, where were you when, can you believe, folks of a certain age like us, 50 years ago this week, half a century ago, Jaws, Steven Spielberg, and the first grand summer blockbuster, even preceding Star Wars itself. Where were you in 75 when Jaws debuted? It was quite the thing, Coach.
Well, I know I was in the theater watching it with my wife. It was a horror film of a kind. It was very well done. And besides the scenes with the mechanical shark and the ending where the thing takes down the whole boat, I think Robert Shaw's rendition of what happened with the USS Indianapolis in World War II, his little soliloquy there on the boat before the big event, is an outstanding scene.
It is considered to be one of the great soliloquies in movie history. Robert Shaw, who also was a great James Bond villain in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, or no, it was From Russia with Love, Robert Shaw, and who played a magnificent King Henry VIII in the Academy Award-winning A Man for All Seasons, Best Picture and Best Actor in 1966 for the play. It was actually a play that Sir Richard Bolt did. And Coach, it set the scene for many late great summer blockbusters after that, Coach.
Oh, absolutely. Steven Spielberg went on a roll after that.
And that Jaws theme is imitative somewhat of the Alfred Hitchcock Psycho violin strains that were so iconic as soundtracks. And of course, Spielberg brings in such great composers in his works. He relied on John Williams for a lot of stuff too. So Brock, what do you think of a 50-year-old movie? When I was your age, a 50-year-old movie was predating even Casablanca and the Wizard of Oz. Would have been an Al Jolson talkie, for crying out loud. What do you think of these 50-year-old movies, Brock?
Yeah, isn't there like the original Jaws and then Jaws 1 and 2, or am I thinking of another
There was
series?
a sequel. Yeah, there was a sequel, Jaws and then Jaws 2. And all I will say is it looks like we're going to need a bigger radio station here with all these interns we got this year.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the movie, and I've actually watched it multiple times. I love the movie. I love the way that they use the mechanisms and the mechanics and like just all the technology and like engineered the way it moved. I actually went to when I went down to Universal Studios down in California, where I'm from, and I actually me and my whole family we went on the tour on the show roller coaster. It took us like 15 minutes to get through all the different shows, but we actually watched like where they did all their stuff and all the mechanisms and stuff. And honestly, I enjoyed the movie. I didn't think it was a horror movie because I knew I saw how old it was, but but in the moment, when you're in the moment in the dark room, it's pretty stressing with the da 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 theme song. It's a good one.
Yeah, it's got to come to Sven Gulli here pretty soon, I think. That would be awesome there. There was a great Sven Gulli movie that had Joan Collins in it a couple of weeks ago. It was an A-list movie. They've got some great stuff on MeTV. What better 1-2 punch than the Three Stooges followed by Sven Gulli on Saturday nights? Why do I need to take my wife out for dinner for a date when we've got MeTV? I mean, Brock, this is the key here, Sven Gulli. And hey, hot tip though. Watch A Man for All Seasons starring Robert Shaw, and perhaps his greatest role is a very agitated King Henry VIII, larger than life. Paul Scofield in one of the most, I would say the finest dramatic actor portrayal in history is St. Thomas More. Paul Scofield winning the Academy Award for Best Actor. That movie came out of nowhere to win Best Motion Picture in 1966, A Man for All Seasons. Well, Coach Knapp is A Man for All Seasons. Coach, how do we catch your podcast?
Play-by-play, Patrick Knapp and Jerry Busone, iHeart, Apple, anywhere you get your podcast.
All right, guys, and we'll be back next week as we celebrate this great feast of Corpus Christi this Sunday. This is John Jacobson thanking Jim and Cindy Jandren, LifeRunners.org, and Midwest Renewable Energy LLC out of eastern Nebraska. Go to LifeRunners.org, get your T-shirt, help these expectant mothers and their babies along the way, and thank Midwest Renewable Energy LLC for helping make America energy independent. Renewable fuels, ethanol is lean, is clean, and it's green. For Sean Torres and Brock Chapman, John Jacobson, and Coach Patrick J. Knapp Jr., be safe, be smart, be good, be strong. Pull up the podcast on KOFO.com. Love Jesus Christ on this Corpus Christi Sunday, and God bless us, everyone, till we meet again next week. Bye-bye.